Hi, Karen Craig Parker here with your weekly Human Design Evolution Report. Every week I actually do 2 evolution reports. I have a written evolution report, and if you want to read my written evolution report, which is usually pretty rich and thick and has a lot of information in it about all the planets and the planetary themes and a bigger picture of what's going on for the week, please visit my Facebook page, Human Design for Everyone, or find us on Instagram at Understanding Human Design. Usually I try to at least kind of match the video with what I write, but sometimes there's a week that begs of us to focus more intently on specific energies and archetypes, and this is one of those weeks. When the sun transits in the gate 18, which can be called in quantum human design the gate of realignment, in traditional human design this is half of the channel of judgment and criticism, and it is typically in the lower expressions where the energy for criticism lives. This is a splenic energy, so it's an energy that can be rooted sometimes in fear, and the fear of the 18 is that I'll never get it right, I'll never get it perfect. And oftentimes what we see in the face of that fear is that we shut down the possibility of following through and trying and experimenting and exploring the fulfillment of our dreams, our hopes, our mastery, because we're afraid we won't get it right. There's an irony with this gate because it's probably one of the more misunderstood and sometimes most harshly experienced energies in the human design chart. It's harsh, but it actually leads to the gate 58. It's the electromagnetic to the 58, which is the joy, the gate of the joy of life. This is all part of a stream in the chart that we call the stream of mastery, which basically lays it out for us that if we constantly and with commitment and dedication keep tweaking our work, keep practicing, keep perfecting, keep working at whatever it is that we're seeking to become masterful of in our lifetime, and that might simply be being masterful of ourselves. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an art form or be a classical violinist. It just means that we are designed to be masterful, to be the masters of the story of who we are, and you're all masters of your own story, and that through the process of constantly exploring the patterns that we're manifesting and looking at what needs to happen to kind of tweak and realign those patterns, that we can bring ourselves on a daily basis with this conscious realignment closer and closer to the fulfillment of the potential of our joy. Now, if we fail to take into account that practice process, that mastery process has built into it mistakes, we need to explore sometimes from those mistakes. What we need to use those mistakes as pushing off points for thinking about where we could grow and go with our own mastery. It's the mistake parts sometimes that reveal to us maybe where the pattern needs to be readjusted or tweaked or corrected. You probably can guess, if you've had any more, if you've had as many circles around the sun on the planet as I have, that the state of joy doesn't need to be dependent on you being masterful, that it's the process of seeking the mastery that actually does bring the joy, and that's those things that you love to do so much that they take your breath away, or you get overly excited when you talk about them, or you can't wait to go do those things again, whatever they may be. Those are the things that we are designed to pursue towards mastery, and that it's the process of engaging in those things that actually brings us the joy, not the perfection. And we can begin, when we understand this, to divorce ourselves from the idea that we can't be in the joy of whatever that it is if we're not getting it right or perfect. I also like to just throw this in here, and I didn't write about this week, but there's something really beautiful and poignant about this point that I want to make. In the traditional I Ching, the game of the gate 18, the hexagram 18, is working on what's been spoiled. I used to teach parenting classes Sorry, that is the sound of the heat kicking on already. I'm not ready for winter yet. I'm going to have to tweak my winter pattern. I used to teach parenting classes, and I used to teach parenting classes in a very traditional, religious, faith-based community. And I was very much against not spanking, using parenting as a way to lovingly guide children into fulfilling the potential of who they are. I like to think of parenting as being sort of a sacred steward for a life where you nurture and support this beautiful being into the unfolding of who they truly are. In the community that I taught in, there was a lot of conversations in the parenting circles around spanking and spoiling and spanking and not spoiling and spoiling in general around children. Now, I don't know how it is in your life, but I'll tell you, in my house, we do spoil things. And usually that happens in the refrigerator. And usually that happens after I've been out of town for a little bit, which hasn't happened that much this year. But things get spoiled because we don't pay attention to them. We leave them in the refrigerator for longer than is good for them, right? And so this week, as we look at the energy of realigning and looking at what patterns do we have that perhaps we need to change and expand on and explore and tweak in order for us to become more masterful in the expression of who we are, I also want to invite you to explore whether there's some part of your being, some part of yourself that maybe you've left in a drawer somewhere that you've neglected to pay attention to, and because of that lack of focus, that lack of loving attention, that lack of the joy that maybe you've denied yourself because you thought, oh, I can't do that because I'm not perfect at it, that you pull open that drawer this week and look at what have you left behind in the story of who you are. What have you left behind that you have the potential for great mastery over? You have the potential to experience great joy with. What have you neglected to pay attention to? What part of yourself maybe have you denied yourself because you thought you couldn't get that part of yourself right? I would like to invite you to explore, what do you need to do to bring that part of yourself out into the world? How can you restore it? How can you work on it so that it doesn't lay neglected in the darkness somewhere, but emerges, you bring it into the light and allow yourself to really cultivate the joy of being with that part of who you are, that part that hopefully brings you an enormous amount of joy. You can't spoil something if you pay attention to it. That's true for children. Children who are spoiled are usually spoiled because they've learned to overcompensate for feeling invisible. And so somehow they've developed patterns of behavior that get our attention, because to a child, negative attention is better than no attention at all. Your dreams are just like those children, only they don't want negative attention. They just want to be brought out into the light. They want your focus. They want your attention. You, that part of yourself that maybe you've put in a drawer, is just asking for you to give it the right kind of attention so that it can thrive and flourish and bring you the joy that it's designed to bring you. That's all. Have a great week. I'll talk to you next week.